We are 303. We are at Criterium Bikes in Colorado Springs. Caroline Squared is what they call themselves, or just Caroline and Caroline. One's a badass cyclocross racer, second in the world, multi-time national champion in France. One's a crazy Ironman, does triple Ironmans, double Ironmans. Which one is which? Should we play that game? Should we? Who's crazier?
I don't know.
I would say her. That's what she says. Like, you! Blame on you.
I mean, a bike shop with two women who are doing amazing endurance events. How lucky are they to have you guys?
When I walked in to interview, the first thing they said is, "Do you know who that girl is? That's Caroline. Do you know who she is?" And then she said, "Let's ride sometime." And I was terrified. I was like, I can't
She
keep
just
up with
like
you.
snubbed me. She's like, I'm not riding with you. And I was like, great.
It's pretty cool though,
Scared
right?
her.
Are customers, do they talk to you guys about your racing background? Do they even know? Do you talk about it?
I say we throw each other under the bus. So
Yeah.
if I'm talking to someone about something, I'll say, "Oh, well, Caroline races cyclocross and she does this," and then I hear Caroline across the shop say, "Well, she does this." So that's kind of.
But
how
I think
go.
we don't really say, I feel like the time we have to say it, it's when I usually play the card, hey, I'm a pro bike racer when I have to.
Right.
Meaning, hey, these guys think I'm a lady, I don't know stuff. And you're like, hey, actually, can I know what I'm doing right now or saying? So you have to pull that card. Hey, actually, I race, I do things, And then suddenly change everything. As soon as you put it on the table, I say, hey, I race, I'm a pro. This is what I do as a job, my other job. Then people just calm down. I don't like to use it quite often.
How much
It's rare.
fun is it to let someone just dangle for a while, trying to tell you how great they are, and I'm gonna do this really cool race, and they're like, and you just let them dangle and dangle and dangle, and then you say, well, tell you what, here's the real deal.
That happens. I had someone say, "Oh, I'm doing a 6-day bike ride across the state, and you could do something like this. I'm sure anyone can do something like this, and we're going to do 400 miles." And I'm thinking, yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm going to sign up for a 24-hour race and do 400 miles in 24 hours. But you go do that in 6 days, But I don't usually say that. I usually keep it to myself and nod and smile.
I mean, we do have a passcode. It's kind of sad. I mean, I think it's getting better, but you still have that problem of being a woman in a bike shop. Like, I mean, we had this example this morning, usually I say, hey, I need a man. Well, I'm a woman, they don't listen, so please help. I don't want to deal with it.
Yeah.
She had an experience this morning about this guy who came in and asked for service, and he totally ignored her, and we are actually the people who check the bikes in and be like, hey, let me look in the system, we'll check your bike, we're gonna take payment. He went directly to the mechanic, and the mechanic is like, no, actually, she's the one who's gonna take care of you. So
I waved, he came in, I said, "Hi sir, can I help you? I need a mechanic." And then he walked away, of course, the mechanic walked up, "I'd like to pick up my bike," and I was like, "Hi sir, I'm over here, I can still help you."
Oh my gosh.
So, I mean, I think we just learned to deal with it, but some situation are kind of frustrating. I almost walked away a few times and be like, I'm done, I'm out, this is stupid already. It's just hard. It's not because I'm a woman that I'm not going to be able to answer any technical question. I can actually build my bike myself. We have knowledge and we can answer the question. It doesn't have to be a man.
Yeah.
But it's cool because I think most of our coworkers are really helping, and they usually say, hey, she told you exactly the same thing. She just said it.
Right.
So it's nice to be supported on the other side, so it does help.
How did you guys both end up here? Like, you've been here longer, right, Caroline? You've been here longer. Okay.
So, just a story. I had a contract. The contract broke. We had some issues, and I was like, I need a job. So I just sent an email and say, well, let's find a job.
This is our first ever big girl job.
Yeah, it was my first
Really?
job. So I showed up here. I'm 30 years
Besides
old.
riding.
And I said, hey, I need a job. Are you hiring? They were like, yeah, let's do an interview and everything. And then when I told people, like, this is the first time I'm actually working like as a normal job, they were like, no way. And I was like, yep, it is. And then I just, I think it's helpful because she does the same. I leave sometime for like 2 months and I'm like, I'm out, see you later. So I travel for 2 months. So I just put my time off and I can leave. If I get any other job where you have to be like every day in the office or something like that, you can't manage. Like if you want to race full time as a pro, you have to be flexible. So it's kind of, you know, compromise and be like, hey, this is a job who's going to pay the bill. It's pretty fun too. It's really relaxed environment, I would say.
We get
And
to talk
then-
about bikes all day, you know,
Yeah.
and we do. I mean, there are customers who come in who figure out what we do, or one of us will say, "Oh, well, she does this. Oh, she does this," and they'll sit and listen and usually say, "You're crazy," but basically we get paid to talk about bikes and have fun and help other people
Right.
like bikes. And
So it could be a lot worse, right?
How did you? So you grew up in France and raced pro in France.
Yeah.
And how did you end up here?
So I actually went to business school in France, and every single time they were calling me back and said, Caroline, you failed English. Can you come back? I was like, damn it. I was like, I need to do something about that. So I actually got an internship with SRAM in 2011.
Okay.
And then kind of, you know, things got, so I stayed here for a few months, went to Chicago for other months. Then I did another internship with Crank Brother for 7 months, I think. In 2012, signed a contract with Dom Kellogg, who at that time ran Clement Donnelly Tires.
Okay.
So I raced for Raleigh for a few years and kind of stayed here.
Okay. And then Caroline came. The other Caroline came from another country. I think Texas. Is that what it's called?
yeah, that's true. They do think they're own. I'm not a Texan, so I can make fun of them.
Yeah.
I came from Austin, and I was a teacher for 13 years. I retired from teaching in Austin because I knew my heart wasn't there. I raced so much that the kids knew if I wasn't at school, I wasn't sick, I was racing. So I'd come in on Monday and they go, okay, where's your medal? What did you do? Let me see your shirt. You know, they knew my heart wasn't there. So I retired, started kind of building bikes in Austin, and then moved here. And I just reached out to the Tri Animals Tri group and I was like, hey, anyone, what's the best bike shop in town? Like, tell me which one. And everyone was like, Criterium, 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 Criterium. Someone tagged the owner. Someone else tagged the owner. So I just reached out, and I had an interview, if you call it that, a build interview. I built a bike. He didn't ask me really any questions. We had just chatted before, and I built the bike, and then I was here like 6 hours because I was done, and no one checked the bike. I was like, is anyone going to like look at what I did? Like, anyone want to check this? And they're like, yeah, okay, just keep hanging out. And after like 6 hours, I was like, can I go? Like, was there an actual interview? Do you want to know anything?
Did you interview here?
I don't know.
We're like having a real interview.
I didn't. He just was like, okay, can you start next week? And I was like, oh, yeah.
I think this was
I
more
can
a
do that.
question that, hey, can you handle that environment?
Oh, they were
Like-
nervous about me, about being in a bike. I was a teacher for so long. Can you handle being with all these guys?
She thought she was the prude, but I think she's the worst here.
Well,
Yeah.
so my sister and your cousin are
Yeah.
in-laws, whatever, and that's how we got to know each
Yeah,
other.
yeah.
But I want you to tell us your crazy thing you're training for, the Double Anvil.
Double Anvil. And Caroline's coming to be my crew.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah, tell people what that's all about.
So
100%.
it's a double Ironman distance race. It's the World Championships outside of Portland at Lake Hagg or Hogg. I'm not sure how you say it. It's a 4.8 mile swim, which is 8 laps back and forth on the lake, and you have like a kind of like an inner tube with nutrition in it. So every loop you can get yourself whatever you need, and then it's 21 laps around the outside of the lake on your bike. It's like 15,000 feet of elevation gain in the 21 laps, and it's or loops, and it's 224 miles. And then the run is 52 miles, and it's like a 1.3 mile loop, half pavement, half trail. And then the bike and the run all go through a parking lot. So every loop you can stop at your crew and they can give you whatever you need, but there's no pacers allowed, and you're just riding, you know, and running
So
until
she's gonna
forever.
see me how many times? 60 times?
No, you're gonna be probably sleeping.
Yeah.
You're gonna fall asleep. You're gonna wake up when it's over.
Ring the bell for service.
So that's
I'm gonna have to have
a 30-ish hour?
So yeah, the record's 27:19 for
Okay.
women, but the men's is 25, I believe. But the last time they had the race, it was so hot that the first place male was 33 hours and the female were 35. So
Okay.
I think it's kind of, if it's too hot or if it's windy, or I'm not sure. I think it's a strategy game and a nutrition game. And so we were coming up with walk-run plans and what nutrition's going to look like and what bike I'm going to use and what I'm going to have on the bike. And I just started swimming for the first time last week after my last swim was at Ultraman, Florida, Valentine's Day of 2020. So that was my last swim.
And let's just talk about that a second. You got second to Dee Dee Griesbauer.
Yes, she's a beast.
She's a beast, but you got second.
You're a beast too.
Dee Dee's a pro that's been a pro for, I don't know, 20 years or something like that. I mean, talk about that.
Well, first of all, she's awesome, and I told her I wanted to ride with her because I'd get awesome through osmosis of being around her. But it was incredible. I mean, I had a shoulder problem, and I came out of the water, and the race director walked right up to me as I'm like delirious on the ground, getting my wetsuit pulled off, and she goes, "You little sandbagger, you're second place." And I went, "What?" And I like cried the first like 10 minutes on the bike because I couldn't believe I was, Dee Dee was like, I think 45 minutes ahead of me. She was like way ahead of me, but it was cool. It was a great race, and my coach later looked at my bike data and he said, "Oh, look, there's your fastest mile of the whole 263 mile bike race. Is right there." And I looked and I said, "Oh, that's when I saw Dee Dee," because I hadn't seen another human. And it was like there was like an out and back with a lollipop, and so she had come around, and there's no bikes. I saw no one else in the race, and I'm riding, and I'm like, "Dee Dee!" And she's like, "Go get it, you got it!" And I was like, "Dee Dee said I can do it." And that was my best mile of the whole bike race. But yeah, it was the best 3 days, I think, of my life. I trained for that race for 3 years, and so it finally came, and then it was over, and I was sad. But now I have the Double Anvil to go torture myself at.
What's next after that?
Oh,
Triple?
Ultraman Canada will be the next one.
So you got basically a tortoise and harrier, right? I mean, you guys are you're Speedy Gonzalez.
Oh yeah, it's
a
like
1 hour
black and white, but it's funny because we're super different on like what we do on the bike, like as training and everything, but also in life. But we get along really well. We're really good friends, so it's really funny.
We complement each other.
Yeah.
We act, we have different crazy, and it kind of works. But my favorite story with riding with Caroline, I have to tell, is we've ridden together, and she always has to go slow, and she's always annoyed with my training, but she doesn't say it sometimes, and she's like, "Okay." So I had a series of 30-mile time trials.
Series of 30-mile, okay.
And we went out to the Fountain Loop, and it's like a 40-mile loop, so it was like 10 miles easy, and then 30 miles like all out.
It's like no corner. There's one corner.
You just
like that.
There's no traffic lights, no stop signs. It's a little box, so you just go around. So no one really wanted to do it with me. I did 2 by myself, and it's hard to race yourself for 30 miles, right?
Sure.
So I'm like, "Carol, come do this 30-mile time trial." She was like, "You're out of your mind." So we get there, and we do the first 10 miles, and she's riding next to me, and we're talking, and we're having fun. And I was like, "Okay, get ready. It's about to start." And I'm on like my TT bike. She's on her road bike. I'm like, "Get ready. It's almost time." And my Wahoo is like, beep, beep, beep. Caroline's gone. She just got right behind me. She did not race me. She drafted me for 30 miles. I am smart. I mean, come on. She's like, "Work smarter, not harder. I'm not doing what you're doing." So she drafted me for 30 miles, and every time there was a hill, she'd pull out behind me because I was trying to kind of stay even-ish, even though later I shouldn't have. But there'd be a hill. She'd pull out. She'd zoom past me up the hill, and the second we crest it, she'd just pull right back behind me.
Oh, really?
And just follow me down.
Well, I was out of shape too. I mean,
How many did you end up doing?
We just did the one, I think.
Oh, okay.
yeah,
the
I think we did the one.
Yeah.
I'm out. It's too hard.
That's fun. So when are you going to do a multi-sport event, and when are you going to do a cyclocross race?
Well, Caroline has done.
I've done triathlon.
You have done triathlon. Okay.
Some like
In France, I did like
Olympic?
a lot of my friends, like just like the short distance.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't swim like a rock, so it's not.
Oh, we
that
were
fun.
gonna do a relay in July up in Boulder, but it all got
I
canceled
mean, it was the COVID. It's
because
kind of like
the owner Nick is a extreme triathlete,
yeah,
and
he does
so
pretty crazy stuff too.
we were gonna do a shop team, and then everything kind of fell
You
apart.
guys would probably kill it.
It would have been super fun. I was excited. I was semi-injured still from Ultraman, so
Yeah,
I was
but I
gonna
think you wanted
swim.
me to run. I wasn't even riding my bike. I was the runner.
Maybe we were. Gonna
Yeah,
put Nick
I was
on the
not
bike.
even riding. I was supposed to run.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I don't know about cyclocross because I'm really clumsy. And sometimes we rode on gravel. My first gravel ride we did together. She kept just flying off her bike, running up the hill, carrying it, jumping back on.
We were doing the Santa Fe Trail like over there, and I'm like, I like to do that when just like riding and push the limit to the speed and then fly off and go back. And she's like, "What are you doing? You're crazy!" And I was like, "Well, I'm just practicing." And I'm like, "You are nuts!"
I'm like, "There's rocks. There's rocks. What am I gonna do?"
Like, please give me some rocks and some mud.
Oh, that's awesome. Tell us a little bit about cyclocross and what it's like in Europe. Like, we've heard stories, but when in Belgium and where the championships are, what's it like to do that?
I mean, it's pretty crazy, you know. Like, picture like almost like a football game. I mean, I don't know how many spectators are in a stadium, but like this World Championship, when I got second place, it was so crazy in Belgium. It was 75,000 people at the race. So we had to actually have like racing car sign so I could see the info because I couldn't hear the team, like the coaches and everything. So it's a big party. People in Belgium or in Europe, France is not, I mean, Belgium, it's the national sport. So people are willing to pay to go watch a race. I mean, I can't imagine how they're struggling this winter because there's with no spectators.
Yeah.
I mean, for them, it's something they just go in with family and spend the day, have beers, drink food, and have a good time. Like, one rule, if you show up in Europe and you don't have your fan card, this is the worst mistake you can make. Like, you have to make sure you make your card with your picture on it and then you can sign it because people come behind the van and they're like, "Can I have a picture? Can I have a picture?" If you don't, then you have to say no to like hundreds of people. So it's just a different atmosphere for sure. But I think US is really growing. The cross scene is, I think, a lot of people having a lot of fun. Like, and you don't have to. I think for people who work, it also doesn't require as much training. Like our training, it's I mean, it's when you do that type. Not saying that I don't train, but it's a different type of training, and I think you can condense the training to less hours and still have fun on a cross bike. So I think it's a good discipline for people, and it's pretty short. And you can have they have a lot of local races on all the state, so it's pretty easy here to get into the cyclocross scene, and I think it's pretty relaxed compared the road scene where it's a little more serious, and then you pass one time and you're like, we've seen him once. Cross, it's a small lap, you can watch, you can cheers. We are pretty all the pros, it's super friendly.
How'd you get into that when you were a kid? Is that something you always wanted to do?
I actually raced motocross for a long time. And
Motocross?
I broke my back pretty bad, so I almost got paralyzed. And then they suggested for me to get on the bike for recovery. And I ended up doing a race at school, and I won in front of people who were actually racing pro at that time. They were like, "Oh, you should race a bike, you're not too bad." I was like, "Okay, cool." And I just got into it. I never say, "Hey, I want to be a racer, a bike racer." I just ended up being not too bad, and I was like, "Well, let's do it."
Yeah.
And then I think cross, I like the aspect, the short. It's really short, super intense, and then it has kind of a mix. I mean, I raced mountain bike for a long time. Also, I was doing both, but to me, what she does, I don't enjoy as much because I like to have my brain be quiet for 50 minutes. It's like my escape. I in that bubble for 50 minutes, and I'm not thinking about life. I'm not thinking about paying the bill. I'm not thinking about stress or what I'm doing with life and where I should be and all that stuff. When I race cross, I mean, my nickname when I'm racing is the animal. I'm just focused. There's nothing else going on. So when I do this long stuff like gravel for 8.5 hours, I feel like my brain is going all over the place and it's just too much to think. So I like that aspect of cross, just full on. And I think it's cool to be able to do obstacle, going on and off the bike. It's pretty technical. I like the muddy aspect and also the really friendly atmosphere.
You're the opposite, right?
I was gonna say Caroline has really good bike handling skills too. We did a motorcycle. We got our motorcycle licenses together, and I failed the U-turn. and it's in real life. Like, I go straight for a long time on my bike. And, like, if you want me to do U-turns, I, like, unclip and, like strider bike my bike around in a circle.
I'm trying to get her a little more flexible on the bike, but we'll get there.
I was to say, also, cyclocross is fun to watch because her race was in January. So I was gone all of Thanksgiving to Christmas in Hawaii training away from the cold. Caroline was in France. Then I came home for a couple of weeks, and we all crowded around the computer and watched her race, which was super fun. Like, because you saw her, she's like, I'm going to wave at you. And, like, we saw her, and it was super fun. So then when I left for my race, they're like, well, how do we watch your race on TV? Oh, no. It's a 3-day race. Like,
we're going to be on TV for 3 days.
That's not how this works. So, yeah, it's just so different.
What's your mind like, Caroline, when you're out there for 20 hours?
I like to play numbers games, mainly.
Oh my gosh.
I like to figure out how long I've been riding, what mile per hour I've done to that point, what mile per hour I have to do to go on, how much nutrition I've had. I start counting calories and carbs, and if I keep track of timers, like, have I had this every this many minutes, and it goes by fast for me. Like, I love the long stuff.
See,
I love
black and white.
Yeah.
I love being on my bike for a long time. I like almost knowing lots of people don't do what I do. Like, it's almost fun to me to be like, yeah, I rode my bike for 24 hours, and people look at me like, what? I'm like, yeah, it was kind of a challenge. It was something different. It pushed me. Getting ready for Ultraman, I had like 3 6.5-hour trainer rides because of the weather. And I parked here at the shop in the fit studio, and people brought me bottles and visited me. And
I was like 6 hours on the trainer. I'm like an hour and a half, and I'm like, please help me out here.
But there's almost the stubbornness of it. Like, that's what I think will get me through the double, is who's the more stubborn? How determined are you to win? What mental strength do you need to convince yourself to stay on your bike for that long? And then the feeling later, like, I did that thing. Like, that's...
Are you probably the most stubborn person that I know? Like, she would text me and say, it's 10 p.m. I fell asleep on the couch. I didn't do my training. I'm doing it right now. And I'm like, what is wrong with you? Just go to bed. But I think she's still... I feel like I'm kind of old in a discipline. I've been racing for like over 15 years. You're still pretty new, and I remember like when I was starting, I would be super dedicated. Now I'm like, oh, well, I'm tired. Coach, I will do the training tomorrow. Like, it's just a different approach. But she will not miss anything. Like, I'm always impressed. I just don't know
she'll
how she
text
does.
me. She's like, I'm channeling my inner Caroline. I'm getting on the trainer at 7 p.m. I'm like, oh, kids games, come on. You could do that. Come on. I train because we have a couple people who race, and they typically like to work 11 to 7 so they can do their training before. I'm like, oh, come on. I get up at 6, go train at the pool, work, and then go back and then finish the other 2 sports that I have to do after work. I'm like, come on, you're fine.
Oh, I'm a lazy one. That's fine. I admit it.
So Caroline Squared, when's that bike shop opening?
We talked about doing some videos, like, for women, like fix a flats and doing something fun together, at least on the internet. But
You guys should totally do that. That'd be
I
fun.
think that
Yeah.
would be a cool project, but I think with the COVID-19 we're pretty limited too. I mean, I launched my coaching company last year, and I kind of put it on hold because with COVID-19 I was, planning on doing some clinics and then doing other stuff, and I mean, it's there, but I haven't really pushed it.
Yeah.
And I think with Caroline we could do some cool stuff because we're so different that it would be really funny to create some videos, but we have to find the time too. She's training like a maniac. We work here. I have another job on the side too, so
I
it's
coach
like,
too, yeah.
take the time. Where is the time? Like, it's just, you don't have life anymore. It's just,
I think it'll be good
Non-stop,
to do
but
some stuff, and
it'll be pretty cool.
group rides even for women, because as Caroline was saying too, like, and you've said, like, we're 2 women at the shop, right? And there is a third. She's a cashier on the other shift, but there are women who come in and they'll come up to, real quiet, and they're like, can you help me? I need help with bike shorts, or
Right.
can you do this? And thank you for being here. It's nice to see a woman who can do things. And so I think we're a comfort to people. So if we could put something together, I think that would be a fun way to help. But we definitely get women who come right to us, like, hey, we want you. What can you help us? Can you help us with this?
Do you still race, Caroline, or the cross? Or
yeah. I mean, I wasn't able to go to Europe this year. It was just too much like logistic and cost. and then not knowing like, you know, if it would happen or cancel. I think only 3 people, actually 4 people came. Like, I mean, it was Katie Compton, Katie Keogh, Faringer, and then Clara Unsinger, and then the rest we just didn't go. And usually we do like back and forth World Cup and everything, so it was a hard decision. And
do you race locally here with some of the cyclocross races?
You won a local race.
I did. I didn't want to this year, like when it was still happening, but the UCI schedule is usually so busy that I have to like be on the road all the times. So
I saw Katie racing a couple of the. There was one in Castle Rock.
I kind of missed those. I was having a hard time. Like I had a really tough time not knowing what was going on, and I had a time where I was like, should I just stop? Should I just, you know, pull the trigger and just be done? I think this year was like last year was the COVID-19. We've been slammed at the bike shop. I mean, I'm honestly exhausted. Like I think I need vacation. Like my body is telling me, Caroline, you need to slow down. And then plus taking another job on top of that, trying to train. At some point you have to like slow down. So I'm getting ready for the next season. I'm heading hopefully Cactus Cup on the mountain bike race in a month. Okay. I won't be ready. Like I have to drop all the weight and again for the COVID-19.
I told her I wasn't gonna bake any more treats.
Yep, it's on her. The 15 pound that I put, it's all her baking.
Baking?
Yep. Like
I'm the shop mom.
What's your thing? What's your best thing to bake?
Oh, she's good at everything. Just don't even ask. She's like, we call her grandma here.
Yeah.
She take care of all of us all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I made 2 key lime pies last week from scratch.
Oh, that was the bomb.
Yeah,
Can we have another one?
Yeah, I have stuff for one more. I need to do it.
No, I'm not authorized anymore.
No more.
No
Well,
more.
let's do this again sometime.
Yeah.
Especially after your race, maybe. And you can talk about.
I'll be filming anyway, so I can give you.
She has a drone. She's gonna.
I have to play with the drone.
If she doesn't break it, she's gonna film some of it.
I can crash it into you.
Interference!
It'd be cool if I could talk to you and be like, "Hey, Caroline, go faster!"
But don't make it like I'm drafting the drone, because then I'll like get DQ'd. Oh, she was drafting a drone.
Oh yeah, cool. I have to be a really good pilot for sure.
Right.
So yeah, drone practice is coming.
That'll be fun. When is that again?
June 10th.
In Oregon. Mm-hmm. Okay. That'd be really fun. Huh. I can't wait to hear about that.
I'm really excited about it. Like, I'm overly excited for the torture I'm gonna put myself through.
Well, if you want updates, I will be there. I'm going to give you my contact.
Yeah,
I can give you updates.
I'm starting to hit the point where when things are hard in training, I'm starting to picture the course and the finish line and like remembering, because that's what I did for Ultraman. Like when everything hurt, I was like, well, Dee Dee's gonna be doing this. Dee Dee's doing this right now. So I'm just putting myself back in that frame of mind. It'll be fun.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for your time, guys. It's been
thanks for
fun to
coming.
sit down and get to know Caroline and Caroline a little better. And
Yeah.
I'd love to do this again sometime after a little bit.
Oh,
more
thank you.
Things happen. So,
Thanks.
thank you.
Pretty cool.